Tuesday, May 12th, lunchtime. I was sitting in the office at the United Nations in Kathmandu, Nepal, and I was busily typing away. Suddenly, things started to feel a bit shaky. Could it be serious? I looked around. Where was everybody? When I saw the look of fear on the faces of my colleagues, I realized that yes, it was serious. Well, we were on the 3rd floor. We couldn't get to an exit. So we wobbled our way to a column that was in the center of the room. We hugged the column, we hugged each other, and we waited for the earth to stop growling. I heard colleagues praying in Nepali, and others saying, "No, not again, not again." And me, underneath the fear, I heard myself think, did I save that document I was working on? Who's going to look after my dog? Oh, I just made coffee. Will it spill? But more importantly, I remember wondering what Nepal was going to look like when the shaking stopped. You see, this shaking came just 2 weeks after that first big earthquake. The fear hadn't even subsided. And now another earthquake. More damage, more fear. Once you feel unsafe in a place, it's hard to ever feel safe there again. So, what was I doing in Nepal? Well, I went to Nepal to work. I work in humanitarian emergencies, conflicts, natural disasters, the world's messy stuff. And in the middle of that messy stuff, I work on preventing sexual violence. Or at least I'm trying to. Anyway, the thing is, after a war or a natural disaster, in the middle of all the chaos, all the things we count on to protect us and support us, law and order, systems, services, safety nets, all of those things are damaged and destroyed. So at those times, you'd think we all step up, stand up, stick together. Well, not really. At those times, sexual violence actually increases. So when we think the emergency is over, for women, the emergency is actually just beginning. And that's where my job comes in. I love my job, but I have to be honest. I think there is something fundamentally wrong with the world if ending sexual violence is a career rather than common sense. So how did I end up with this sort of career anyway? Well, let's start at the beginning. 300 years ago, in Palestine, my mother's side of the family was involved in a murder. So they moved towns, and then again, and eventually they left Palestine altogether, although the murder was irrelevant, had nothing to do with it. The thing is, they're Palestinian, so they're unfortunately still moving. A few hundred years later, my paternal grandfather got a job on a ship as a barber. He left Lebanon, landed in Senegal, and there he remained for 40 years. So we've been displaced from day one. My parents, they come from different countries and different religions. They met in Lebanon, where interfaith marriage actually is illegal. They married anyway. And then the Civil War started, so we didn't stay there very long. We were cornered by conflict and surrounded by injustice. Then there's me. I was born with a dislocated hip. In those days, the medical response was to put me in a body cast, ankles to neck. And there I remained, imprisoned in plaster for 1 whole year. When the cast finally came off, I couldn't wait to move. Needless to say, I've moved around a lot since then. I was born into conflict and displacement, and as a result, I guess I've always been comfortable in chaos. So, the thing is, working on sexual violence, I keep saying, people need to take it personally, because it is personal. There is something wrong with the world, like I've said, if there's a job for somebody like me. What we know is that 1 in 3 women and girls worldwide are going to experience some form of violence in their lifetime. And I came to know that because as we moved along, well, we left our little enclave in Lebanon, and we went first to Saudi Arabia, which is an interesting place to start thinking about gender issues. So I'm absorbing all of these messages, and then we went on to the States. And by the time we landed there, I well and truly had cultural whiplash. So many countries and conflicts were already behind me, I was confused. And there were so many that lay ahead, but I didn't know it at the time. So for me, my moment of awakening came in a high school class. That's where I learned about the different forms of violence against women. Foot binding, acid burning, child marriage. I wrote my first real research paper on female genital cutting. I was 14, a very grim little kid. The thing was, it made me so angry, I couldn't sleep. And it still makes me angry. It is the most pervasive human rights violation in the world. Every culture, every country, every society, every religion, every time period, right here, right now. Everywhere in the world, women are the ones who are more poor. They have less choice, less political voice, less mobility, less access to health care, less education, and they are more vulnerable to violence. There is no country that is immune. I have not heard of a country with a clean record yet, or I'd be living there. So how are we going to end this, you're all thinking? The thing is, we have to take it personally. In 2002, I moved to Afghanistan, where women said, "What is the point of discussing violence now, while our children have empty bellies?" And yet it's also where some Afghan women preferred to set themselves on fire than to live lives of violence. When I moved to Afghanistan, people said, "Wow, what a sacrifice! You're a hero." No, I am no hero, not me. The women there who fight, who survive, who persevere, those are the heroes, not me. But still, this isn't just Afghanistan. It's everywhere. And then I moved to Papua New Guinea, where domestic violence is so violent, women will show you their missing ear or the slash across their stomach from a bush knife. Where gang rapes, known as lineups, are so common. They are part of male bonding and recreation. Where even some police officers participate. They pick up women, sometimes young girls, on false accusations, bring them back to the station, and rape them, sometimes using glass bottles, and sometimes using their guns. Yes, the very people whose duty it is to protect. It makes me want to scream, or vomit, or both. Papua New Guinea, where women who have access to female condoms will wear them all the time, just in case they are raped. No one should have to be governed by that kind of fear. But it's not just Papua New Guinea. It's everywhere. Meanwhile, I'm trudging along country after country. With every country that I go to, I'm learning how to pack lighter, but my heart is what's getting so much heavier. And then I went to Haiti after the earthquake in 2010, where girls as young as 9 were being raped by packs of 11-year-old boys, where peacekeepers distributing food rations would offer a little extra to women who would do a little extra for them. Imagine, we actually have to tell peacekeepers not to sexually exploit those they are supposed to be helping. Why do we even have to say that? In Haiti, I met a young woman in a camp who said, "If I could do one thing for my Haitian sisters, it would be to help them take charge of their bodies and protect them. I have one pair of underwear only," she told me. "I wash it every night so I can wear it clean the next day. We must adapt or we don't survive." Meanwhile, I was barely surviving, Clearly, I wasn't succeeding in ending sexual violence anywhere that I went, and I was getting pretty used to failure. But we can't fail. We cannot fail. This isn't just Haiti. It's personal. Personally, I've wanted to quit a bazillion times, every day. But quitting is not going to make it go away. I've seen these things, and so I can't possibly unsee them. Let's be honest, every single one of us knows the experience of being afraid, and maybe even the experience of violence. Not just women, everyone. The form is different, the context is different, but how it makes us feel, that's the same. I wish I could erase that feeling of fear from the collective minds of women and girls. But even I walk at night with my keys in my hand, and I text my friends to say, yes, I got home okay. I wonder what we would do with all the free space in our heads and in our lives if we did not have to restrict our freedom because of fear. Even the fear of violence is a form of violence. In the Central African Republic, after years of conflict and global neglect, I met a woman there who told me when the rebels came into her village, they asked her, either we kill your husband in front of you, or we rape you in front of him. Is that a choice? That's not a choice. Enough stories, because we really need to do something. And yet, before doing anything, governments, media, organizations ask, how many women? We won't take it seriously unless there are numbers. Why? Isn't one rape enough? No, actually, one rape is one too many. Sexual violence is underreported everywhere. Yes, even here. So any numbers that we do have are going to continue to underrepresent the reality. Anyway, what exactly would be the threshold? How many rapes is enough? Would it be 10, 100, 1,000? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I have spent a lifetime collecting women's tragedies. The more I heard, the more I saw, the more I did, the less I wanted to share, and the angrier I became. And I was angry with all of us. Why do we need numbers and gory stories in order to understand, in order to act? We can't dismiss this. It's not other women over there. It's 1 in 3. Look around this room. It's all of us. We're all affected, and so we are all responsible. In the US, after Hurricane Katrina, sexual violence increased so much that emergency services had to turn women away because they could not help them all. And education clearly is no longer safe for women because sports teams can rape with impunity. And rape culture, where sexual violence is normalized, accepted, treated as inevitable, and the survivor is the guilty one. Where were you going? What were you wearing? Why were you drinking? That sounds like an emergency to me. And that brings us back to Nepal. I arrived in Nepal a few days after that first big earthquake. And there, I met women who were sleeping outside because their homes were destroyed. And they said, we don't go get food. We don't go to the toilet. There are men here we don't know. We are afraid to move. We do not feel safe. I don't think that we need to experience violence in order to understand how much it restricts women's choice, space, and freedom. And yet I have to argue, even with colleagues, about whether preventing sexual violence is considered life-saving or not. We have to prioritize shelter, food, health, they say. Yes, we do. But ask any woman what she would prefer. If given the choice, if it came down to it, ask her. Would she prefer a full belly or bodily integrity? Ask her and see what she says, because I, for one, would prefer to go hungry and to not be raped. And if that argument doesn't work, I don't know what will. I know that I have committed to a challenge that I cannot possibly achieve in my lifetime. And I won't give up, but I am getting so tired. But then, Tuesday, May 12th, the day of that second earthquake in Nepal, I was walking to the office. It was 5 a.m. I was thinking of this speech, of what I could say, of what might be meaningful to you. And as I walked, I was taking pictures of the street art, some of which even showed scenes of that first earthquake, just 2 weeks earlier, along with messages of survival and resilience. It was very powerful. And that's when I saw it. A message in spray paint that captured what I want to say to you and what I want to say to myself, actually, every time I feel discouraged. And that's every day. Start where you stand. That's what the wall said to me, in all its spray painty splendor. Start where you stand. Well, I learned later, this is the title of a poem by Burton Braley. I don't know if my Nepali street artist had read it. But no matter, because today it's ours, we're going to take it, we're going to use it. But the thing is, what happens if we don't start where we stand? Well, then we're accepting this. We are accepting that 1 in 3 women will continue to experience violence. And this, I do not accept. We might not see the results in our lifetime, but it is still worth a fight. We all stand here every day, all the time, at the center of our own little red circle. Maybe we should commit to making our own circles safe for women. 1 circle? Maybe that isn't much. All of our circles put together, that could be something. Because the earthquakes won't stop, and the wars won't stop. But sexual violence, it will stop if we start right now and right here where we stand. Thank you.